Good morning, everyone, and welcome again to the Power of God Ministries weekly devotional series, Walking the Word. My name is Kevin Stewart, and I'm one of the leaders here with the Power of God Ministry. And we're continuing our look at how to know God's will. We're using Romans chapter 12, verses 1 and 2 to explore this topic. And we spent some time the last several weeks talking about where Paul says to offer our bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God as our spiritual act of worship. And we spend the time looking at the body, sacrifice, and worship. And we said the body was not just a physical body that we're offering, but also the whole package, which is our minds, our emotions, and our wills. Because it is when we make a decision in our minds that we act on it through our wills, and this act is revealed in our bodies. So when we're submitted to the will of God, it is through what we see on the outside that reveals the decision that was made on the inside with regards to God's will. And we say it's a sacrifice because it is giving up or surrendering or letting go as we present it, being our bodies, to God, that truly makes it a sacrifice. Meaning we let go of the thing we're giving to God. So it's no longer in our control, but rather in His control, to do as He sees fit and not as we see fit. That makes it a sacrifice. And again, that the sacrifice isn't presented to God until we let go or relinquish the control of that which we are presenting as the offering for sacrifice. In this case, Paul says it's our bodies that we present as the offering for sacrifice. So it's that we relinquish control of our bodies to let God do as He sees fit, rather than us as we see fit in every given situation. We said this is worship because though we value our bodies and value our sovereign right to do and say and act in the way we see fit, we value God even greater and the sacrifice Jesus made on the cross and who God is in His person far more than our sovereignty and our right and our will to do as we see fit. So we yield that as an act of worship to demonstrate that God is of greater value than us. Today we're going to talk about the second piece of that, which is to not conform to the pattern of the world, but be transformed by the renewing of our minds. And the idea behind the conform is a word that essentially means to be flexible and adaptable enough to be poured into or shaped into something. And when it speaks of the world, it's not talking of the earth or the globe or the circle of it, but rather a set of philosophies, thinking, ideology, practices, and beliefs that are active in your current culture and your current cultural context and environment. So put together, Paul is saying, do not any longer allow yourself to be adjusted and adapted and fit in any sort of a mold by the current belief system, practices, and of your present culture, so that when you act, you look like your culture. When you exercise your beliefs and convictions, you do it in a way that make you look like your present culture. My son likes the beach, and he takes with him to the beach some toy moles that when he presses them into the sand and then pulls the moles up, the moles look like images of starfish and circles and squares and so on. When he pulls them up, the sand adjusts to the shapes that my son presses of those toys into the ground. Perhaps you bake and you mix your baking mixture and pour it into a baking pan as either circular, rectangular, shaped like a heart, whatever the image. And when you apply heat to that baking mixture in that pan in the oven and pull it out, the cake takes the shape of the receptacle in which it was placed once the heat is applied. Paul says, we should not be like that cake mixture or the sand, where when the pressure of the world is applied to us, we act, respond, and look like the world through what we do. The Bible says, love not the world, neither the things that are of the world. For if any man loves the world, the love of the Father is not in him. For all that's in the world, the lust of the eyes, the lust of the flesh, and the pride of life comes from the world. So in what areas do we now look like the world and have embraced the philosophies of the world? Next week we talk about how we can reject these and follow God instead. Have a great day.